All right. Hello. Okay, so we're live. That was right down to the minute. Yeah, sorry about the delay. It's been, there's some construction going on the transport to get to my studio, so I was basically just not even going to make it on time, so had to extend that for an hour. So I hope that's not too inconvenient for everyone. Trying out a new view on my webcam, so hopefully that's not too annoying when I'm looking at the screen. I guess you won't see my eyes, but anyway, it's the perfect the perfect level for the webcam would be exactly in the middle of my screen. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, yeah, thanks to everyone who submitted tracks. And yeah, looking forward to kind of go through these. I haven't actually had a chance to listen to any of them, so you're going to literally get my genuine first impressions. So yeah, exciting. We've got 8 tracks to listen to today, so hopefully that'll we'll be able to go through that in a couple of hours. Yeah, we're going to let me know in the chat, in the comments, whatever, if this is something that you want to see more of, and we can do it again for sure. Alright, so may as well just get straight into it. First track here is from Defected, and so I've just got my notes off to the side of the screen, which is why I'm looking over here. Defected, Break the Wall. He's new to production. He's not sure what labels it would fit to, but he likes the idea of sending it to Mother Recordings. Cool. I like Mother Recordings. I've been releasing with them for quite a while. Let me see. So it looks like it's not mastered. So what we'll do is check out the loudness quickly. You guys can hear the audio on that? Let me know in the chat if you can hear that. Cool. Okay, so let's start from the start then. I mean, um, my first thoughts is like, how new to production are you? Because that's really good. Like, yeah, it's groovy. It's well made. The mix down's pretty good. It's pretty well balanced. It's interesting. The sound design is cool. In terms of like the vibe, like, or it doesn't sound super current would be my main kind of negative feedback about it. I mean, it's not negative feedback, it's all about taste, right? But I know like Mother Recordings are looking for music that's like I mean, maybe, yeah, if you listen to their music that they're releasing at the moment, it's a bit more clubby, not quite as laid back and groovy. Maybe this could be really cool for, like, is it Motive, the Australian label? Let me just bring up. Is this them? Yeah, like something. Yes, exactly. These guys. I think that would be a bit more the direction that, in terms of like where you might be able to land something like that. I would like to see it mastered, to kind of like I added on a bit of limiting there. Let me just kind of push that a bit more, because like I've taken that to like, oops, yeah, minus 11 LUFS, but a modern master is going to be quite a bit louder than that. So let's actually give that a go, just with a bit of limiting. Oh, sorry guys, I had my mic muted. Thanks for letting me know. So it sounds really good, and it stands up to a bit more limiting, a bit more loudness. Um, I mean, I think pretty much you could start sending that out as a demo, bro, for sure. Juan, let me know, how long have you been producing? You said you're new to production, but actually this sounds really good. Like, I definitely wasn't making tracks this good when I was new to production, you know. The only thing I can really critique is that the sound that you're going for is not like what's kind of currently charting so much on Beatport, and that, you know, like it's this kind of this balance. Like you want to make the music that you want to make, but you need to kind of understand that labels want to sign music that's going to do well, music that they can make money from, essentially. yeah, so there's a balancing act there about being true to yourself, being true to the music you want to make, and making sure that it's something that a label can invest in, you know. But I think you'll find a home for that for sure, man. It's cool. All right, good stuff. Let's check out. Juan, you got any more questions about that, bro? Let me know in the chat. So we're off to a strong start. I'm not sure. Mike P, I'm a mess. Final mix master. Okay, so Mike is that how you say it? Mike P? I could be butchering that. Not too much info about him. The labels he would like this to go for: Sink or Swim, Solotoko, Stereo Hype. So some big labels there, some big kind of charting labels, you know, and they're releasing like they're doing well, especially Sink or Swim is like killing it at the moment, and obviously Solotoko, being Sonny Fodera's label, is like, you know, Sonny's in the upper echelon of kind of house DJs. So anyway, let's take a listen. All right. Big energy one here. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got the right sound for those kind of labels. It's, my first thought was that like it's really intense from the start. Like for DJing, for me, I would want a bit more time to mix in. But I guess, you know, tracks are getting shorter. Yeah, I guess kind of like just having this like 8 bars for the kick, then 8 bars kind of beat intro, and then already into your first build up by in the next 8 bars. It's like it's a lot in the first kind of This kind of thing works really well for Spotify, but from a DJing perspective, for me personally, that would be a bit much. It's getting straight to the point, which is cool. The only thing is like you're kind of like it's like, okay, so if you think about in terms of like someone DJing, right, they are kind of mixing in to like here generally at the minimum, and then you've already given away like a lot of the track. So I mean, you've got this kind of brass synth sound up here, which is cool. But this section here, it's not boring. But I think you could save some of your kind of like ammo from the start to add in here and have a bit more of a kind of traditional intro. That would be my feeling. Maybe that could be in an extended mix, because I mean the track's only 4 minutes long, so maybe you could do like a 5.5 minute DJ mix. Let's see. Wanna guess how I'm gonna lose stress. Wanna guess on the mess. Wanna guess, wanna lose stress. But yeah, I mean, honestly, another really solid submission. I'm not too sure how long this dude's been producing for. So I've been sick for a couple of weeks, so I'm got to keep the fluids up. I'm not sure how long this dude's been producing for, but it sounds solid, and I think it's definitely in the style of like the labels that he's aiming for. Yeah, really good stuff, bro. Not too much that I feel like I can kind of critique there. Only, yeah, the arrangement is, and that is potentially just like a personal thing. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of kind of ear candy and different things happening. It maintains interest. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, we're getting through these fast. Okay, Birch, after all. This one's going to be a bit different, I think. So Birch has been producing for 6 months, so pretty new to the game. Probably going to be another banger. The labels he would like to, or aspires to release on, All Day I Dream, Shanty Moscow, and Anjuna Deep. So some pretty solid labels there. I'm assuming this is going to be like in an organic house, progressive house kind of style. Pretty popular at the moment. Okay. Let's just get into it then, have a listen. everyone else hear sound? John Stewart is saying he can't hear any sound. We got sound, guys? You can hear the track and you can hear me? Another. Really? You've been producing for 6 months? Because this sounds really good. I mean, it's it's like bang on the sound of where you want to be releasing. Yeah, so Ear Candy, for sure there could be a bit more going on. Like, it's quite linear in that there's not a lot of kind of tension and release, to be honest. Like, the this break is pretty long, and it's not really, it's kind of building up but not really, like it does towards the end there, but I think this is just way too long. Well, it's not too long. I think that you need to work elements in there a lot more. So in terms of like what you can do for Ear Candy, things that work really well in this style are like percussion hits with like a lot of delay and reverb on it. Hey, Ordinaires, what's up, bro? Thanks for joining. Percussion hits with lots of delay and reverb, kind of big washy things. That's like a really popular technique in this style. I would search through some sample packs and get like some organic sounding like drum fills, and then add effects like what's it called? The shit. Hang on a second. Valhalla Shimmer. It's like a big. Let me just chuck this on here, and you can hear what it sounds like. So let's just say this is playing. See, so it kind of creates this almost like white noisy sounding kind of ambience, but you don't want that to just like overtake the track. So you kind of want it to be different things. Like if you take like a bongo fill or something, kind of pan it somewhere, have some delay like happening, and have a bit of then you can put it on a return channel with the like Valhalla Shimmer, or I think Ableton 11 actually has a built-in shimmer type plugin. You put that on a return channel, then you can like sidechain it to the kick, so it's not taking up too much space or not muddying up the mix too much, and just kind of have a bit more ambience in there, right? Also having like reverse synth sounds doing the same thing, so they kind of like build up and then delay out or reverb out. So just kind of a bit more kind of washy type stuff in there would work really well. Like so, for the labels you're aiming for, I think the vibe is kind of right. One thing I thought when I was listening to it is like it's quite linear again. Like it's not, if I play. Yeah, there's a bit more happening here, but it's kind of like it's all very similar sounding the whole way through. Like something that I try to do in my music, and I think just really works in general, is to have some different sections of energy. So you kind of like bring new elements in, so you're always kind of keeping something back that is going to be that creates a big change in the track, something that kind of adds some drama, some interest. It doesn't have to be over the top, like sirens and like big white noise and this kind of thing, but like having another ARP or something that comes in here, or something new that's introduced in the break that works in the second part of the track, or even like even just like taking things away and then you can add them back later, you know. Yeah, but in general, I think yeah, the arrangement could be definitely improved, and as you already noticed, like some ear candy and stuff, or with the ear candy thing, to get some vocals that are in the key of the track. Almost doesn't really matter what what they are, just something that you like the tone of, doesn't matter what it's saying, and then do the same kind of thing. So creating washy delays and reverbs from a vocal source works really well in this kind of track. We as humans love the sound of the human voice. That's what our brains are kind of tuned to focus on the most. So like when you put vocals in a track, people really pick up on that, and it really catches people's attention. We like the sound of the human voice. Hopefully that was helpful, Birch. So, technically speaking, Shine. So the labels that I think technically speaking was a duo, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Alright, so the label that these boys are interested in working with is Snatch, Riverstar's label, and House of Groove. I don't actually know that label. So let's have a look. Is it just me, or is Beatport so fucking slow? House of Groove. Okay. I don't know the label and don't really know any of the artists that are releasing on there, but cool. So we'll focus on Snatch because I'm familiar with them. Okay. So we've got a bit of a longer one here. Let's start from the start. All right, another really cool, quite different to the other tracks, but really cool vibe. It's almost something that I would play. There's a few, from my perspective, there's a few things that could be improved in terms of like where you want to release it. I think Snatch, it's sounding pretty much in line. So it's really good. It could I think it's totally ready for release, but I think there's a couple of things that could be improved to bring it to the next level, like the sub bass. It's quite subby, so you want to keep it quite subby, right? But it's very linear. It's very kind of vanilla sounding. Like you can get a sub that has a bit more character. Basically, like creating a more full bass line and then taking away some of those frequencies, I think might be a really good idea. So that you've kind of, because you've got space for the sub, and you can hear it at the start here. So I think like having something like maybe a parallel distortion or something like that, just adding a bit more harmonics to it, so it's still subby, but it's got a bit more kind of depth to it. So what you could do is take maybe put it on like a return channel, right? Send the sub to it and add some kind of like distortion, make that a bit wide, and then cut away the subs from that return channel. Then mix that back in into, so that it's kind of got a bit more character. Another idea with that would be to in the sound itself, in the sound design, adding a bit more resonance, so that kind of each of those notes that it's playing are a bit more defined, and also maybe adding a little bit of glide, so it kind of like moves between those notes rather than just like do it. So that was the first thing. Then this like mid bass kind of synth that comes in. This could be like a really cool element with a lot of impact when it comes in, but it sounds a bit too which saturation plugins, pretty much my go-to is Decapitator. It's like hard to beat, but I mean what you could do is just try a bunch of different plugins until you get a sound that just like maybe just put it directly onto the sub bass, and then find the sound that you want, so that it's kind of like a bit overdone, but it sounds kind of cool with the track. And then you can put it onto the return channel, and then mix it back in to kind of get the level of, or the amount of that saturation that you want. Because it's going to be difficult to get the right sound when you're only trying to put a little bit of it on, if that makes sense. But I think Decapitator is a really good one. And there's, go for Decapitator if you've got it. But also, I mean, in live actually, some of these like amp and pedal are quite cool. That you can get some cool results from them. So I would say just try a bunch of different things until you kind of hear a sound. Maybe even a bit of like a combination of saturation and a bit of overdrive could be cool. But anyway, with this synth, it's a bit like, again, a bit bland. Like it could have some more chorus on it, like a bit more width, and it's the same each time throughout the track, which kind of, so if it was like evolving a bit, you were maybe automating the cutoff, or if it was playing like different velocities of the notes, and then the synth was being the filter cutoff was changing based on the velocity, so that would kind of give more definition to some notes, and it just creates something with a bit more movement in it. And then if that velocity is happening randomly, like I love this, where is it, MIDI effects, velocity, add some random. So you just throw this on and then change the random amount, and then that kind of, so that what that's going to do is going to mean that every time that plays, the volume of the notes is going to be slightly different, and if you've got it set up with the synth the right way, then the kind of tonality is going to be slightly different. Then add that with some chorus, maybe a bit more reverb, a bit of delay, just to kind of make it sound a bit more kind of interesting, a bit more crunchy. It feels like that sound was like put on top of the track, rather than, because the percussion and the vocal sound really good together. It's really working, and that synth almost sounds a bit like an afterthought. That's just yeah. I'm don't get me wrong. I think that the track is really good, and I think like you could probably get it signed like this. I just feel like this could like elevate it to the next level. Then just working that element throughout the track. What happened there? Yeah, I think that's, for me, that's the biggest. That would be the biggest win, really, is to take that to take that from kind of like it's almost like it's there because you need something to be there, but the track is all about the vocal. So what you could do is turn that more into like another lead sound that people are like, oh man, basically have that sound be something that when another producer hears that track, they're like, oh shit, that's really cool. How did they do that? You know, if you kind of think about it in that mindset, then you're kind of going to push yourself to do that with all the different aspects of your track. But yeah, I mean, that aside, really good and really really on the money for where you're looking to release it. So good stuff, bro. Ooh, bros. All right, let's go here. Dickie Clare, Follow My Groove. Okay, I know this guy, and he finished this track a year ago, and it's the first track he ever finished, and the reason he sent this is because he's a bit stuck on production at the moment, not really feeling the vibe. I noticed, yeah, there we are. Left Wing and Cody think it's vibes. So, yeah, cool. It's already got some good feedback. I haven't heard it yet, so let's get stuck in. But yeah, Left Wing Cody's a pretty well-established act to be giving it the thumbs up, so that's already a bit of a win. I've heard some more music from this dude, and he's definitely got a... I really like what he does. So I'm expecting big things. Okay. Fucking mic. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so yeah, ignore the ignore the silent talking. So having had some contact with Dickie, I know that he's really into like Hotson 82's label, Hotson 82 sound. So, and this has got like that kind of vibe, like early Hotson 82 kind of stuff, with the kind of catchy vocal samples, a bit more atmospheric, which is really cool. I like it. I wouldn't say it's really the current sound that's being released on Deep and Sound, but it's cool. I mean, you could find a home for that type of style. It makes sense when you say that this is a year old, because I've heard some of your newer stuff, and it's you've definitely come a long way in terms of like your production, your sound selection. I would say that you could probably rework this into a track that you could release, and it could be really cool. But I think there's a few fundamental problems with it. Again, like especially for the kind of labels that you're wanting to release with, they release club mixes, you know. So what I would say is at least make this like 6 minutes long, with a bit more of a like kind of just saving some of this stuff. So it could be like basically about like there, with a bit more of an intro, and then this could be the first break, right? So that would actually really work, right? You could have a kind of a DJ intro for the first minute here, and then take it out to 6.5 minutes with a bit more of a DJ outro. If you were going to do that, what I would recommend, because most of it sounds pretty cool, but the kick and the bass are not working for me. I think the kick is a bit like maybe it's out of key. I'm not too sure. It's a bit lacking in the sub. You can see in span here, like so I mean your high end is way higher, way louder than your low end. So you need this kick to be up about 4-5 dB or something. And then the bass, the sound design and the pattern could be a bit improved, especially the sound design. The bass is not very kind of catchy sonically, but I think nailing a new kick that's working with the key of the track and that's at a better volume. Let me just add an EQ here. So I think having a bit more of a kind of like hard, punchy kick with a lot more sub in it, louder, and then having maybe like that same bass line, but with a different sound that's a slightly more aggressive, a bit more mid-range in the sound, and a bit more sub. would be cool, and then kind of combine that with a couple of like low tom type sounds, which kind of would add a bit more energy and also kind of create a bit more variation in the like sonically in the low end. And then once you've nailed that, basically the rest of the track is going to kind of work on top. And what is this BPM like? 124. Yeah, I think no, 125 is it? Yeah. Yeah, so I think if you did that, like, you could actually make this into like a really cool track. Because the vibe, when I say that, it is a really cool track. The vibe is great. It's got like this kind of catchy, but still kind of undergroundish vibe to it. So I think, yeah, it's got potential for sure. Hopefully you can get over your writer's block, and yeah, I think you just joined my Patreon, so we're probably due for like a call. So I'll see if I can give you some tips to kind of get over the writer's block, some kind of techniques that you might be able to implement, and kind of, yeah, let's get cracking. All right, good stuff. Moving on. Does that work, Dickie? You got any other questions about it? All right, Gareth Cole. Now, this dude didn't enable downloads, so I had to use one of those websites to rip it off SoundCloud, so the quality might be a bit low. Yeah, so it's going to be like hard to tell. Maybe let's have a listen to it on SoundCloud. Fucking hell. Sorry, I just got this new mic today, and I keep muting it when I've got stuff going on, and then obviously not turning it back on. So, as I was saying, the labels that Gareth would aspire to sign this to are 8-Bit, Crosstown Rebels, and 8-Bit, Crosstown Rebels, and Knee Deep in Sound. And he wants some feedback on the mixdown. Yeah, the chat's catching up with the delay on the on the muted. Sorry about that, guys. Fuck. He wants some feedback on the mixdown. Is there enough low end, and is the bass line too muddy? So let's keep that in mind when we are listening. Maybe I'll just stop muting this thing. All right, let's listen. All right. Really cool. I really like that. I'd play it. I think it's I think it's fucking dope, bro. Good stuff. The only issue that you might have signing it, I think, is that it's like I said, I would play it for sure. It would. I can see it fitting into a DJ set. But you might have trouble citing it as it's kind of maybe a bit more like a filler track. It doesn't have like a super memorable hook, if you know what I mean. And so it's kind of like with a track like that, it's harder to stand out from the crowd, right, when you're submitting demos. But yeah, it's always this kind of like a balancing act, right, between not making it too over the top and keeping it kind of like a bit more kind of subtle and but like having something that like stands out, something that's kind of memorable about it. Because like the groove is really there, and the kind of the vibe is really there. I feel like it's missing something, like just a vocal sample that happens a couple of times, or like some kind of like synth riff that happens a couple of times that just kind of stands out and gives it a bit more kind of character. That's my opinion anyway. But like it works for sure. I like the detail that you've added in there. There's kind of it's kind of like a groover, but there's enough little kind of fills and effects and things happening. They're generally subtle enough that they don't kind of they're not like over the top, but they're audible enough that you kind of notice them. So yeah, really well done. In terms of like the kick and the bass, I think it's working pretty well. Let's just get this. Yeah, it's in time. Yeah, so the low end, let's have a look at it here. I just feel like there might not be enough sub in the bass, so I'm just trying to see where that is sitting sonically. Let's go like this. And I'll just try and take out these kicks, or okay, so if I then go like this, select the kicks, and just mute them, so your bass line is sitting up around 100 hertz, which is gonna lack sub, especially for this style. When you play this on a big system, say you're playing it after another track that's in a similar style, that it has been released on one of these labels that you mentioned, it's going to have more in the low end, and your track is going to be noticeably less subby. So all you want to do there, bro, is just basically duplicate the bass line, use a sine wave or something, and just play the same notes. Make a high cut around here so that the two bass lines aren't interfering with each other, and have it like just bring it in so it's, because it's the bass is subtle, which is cool. You don't want it to be, for this style, I don't think you want it to be like any louder, because I think it's got the right groove between the kick and the bass, but it's lacking something in the low end. So you just kind of like, you're just trying to bring up that sub. The kick, so if we just do the reverse of this, oh, you guys can still see me? I just got a notification saying that OBS disconnected. Did the stream cut out for a minute there? Let me know, let me know. So anyway, as I was saying, like, cool, thank you. All right, so as I was saying, let's have a look at the kick. Yeah, so the kick is fine. The kick's in a good range sonically, but yeah, you just need like a bit more low end in there to support it. And then what you could also do, like I think I mentioned this in one of the previous tracks, is like, so then you even so take the bass that you've got, take the bass that you've got, drop it down an octave, cut away some of the highs, and then add another mid bass layer on top that's got a little bit more kind of sizzle. You don't want it to, obviously you want it to be a sub still, but yeah, just something that's got a little bit more character. That's, I mean, and it's finding that balance, right? I think that would make it really cool, make it really interesting. But definitely you need something in that next octave down. But you don't want it to be, so if we look at this, okay, so your kick is, use this one. So your kick is hitting there at -11, -10, right? So this is already, so this is like about 4 dB quieter, right? So you don't want to be matching that volume in the octave down. If your kick is, so if this is sitting at like minus 15, and then your kick is sitting at like minus 10, that's about right, the right balance. And then you want this to be sitting somewhere like kind of minus 20 or something like that, just so it's kind of pushing, but it's not like overpowering, because otherwise then your sub is going to lack definition. Also really important is when you're doing that, duck it quite heavily to the kick, and make sure those sub notes are not too long, because you still want it to have like a really solid punch in the low end. So, but in terms of muddiness, I don't think it is muddy. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the labels that you want to release it on, I think like for it, the sound is right. I don't know about Crosstown Rebels. I think maybe it's a bit too. It's got a bit of a progressive house edge. Maybe it's a bit too progressive house for them, I would say, but it's in the ballpark. I think it's. There's other labels that you could explore, like something like Salador, Steve Perry and Dave Seaman's label would be cool. Even like Under No Illusion, they sometimes do stuff that's a bit more in this direction. Kenja, which is Ronnie Spateri's label. 43 Degrees, which is Houghton's label, could work for sure. I would say, so like this is something, the bit that I was talking about at the start, right, where I said it kind of needs something to be a bit more memorable. So my recent EP with 8-bit, Gorge gave me the feedback that he really liked the track and he wanted to sign it, but it needed an extra little hook or something to kind of make it stand out. So he worked with me to find something that kind of kept the subtle vibe, but we implemented like this little vocal sample, which is like, it really only happens I think like 4 times in the track, but it kind of gave it this like extra ear candy that worked, because I was trying to do the same thing with that track. I was trying to make it like a bit more understated, and I actually had the thought that pretty much every track that I make has vocals in it, so I don't want to include vocals. So the feedback that I got was like the groove, the vibe, everything's there, but it just needs a little something to make it a bit more memorable, which I think would work here. So hopefully that's helpful, bro. Feel free to actually inbox me, and I'd love to check it out if you make some changes, and yeah, maybe you can give me a copy and I can play it out. All right. Next track, Zurich. Is that how you say it? Zurich, Present Moment. He would like to sign this to Detlef's label Issues. He wants to know about the mixdown, the arrangement, and squelchy sound in the drums. Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Let's find out. All right. sorry to interrupt, but I mentioned a couple of times in other tracks that even if you've got a sub bass, you want it to have a bit of attitude, right? You want it to have, or just you want it to sound a bit more unique than just a sine, and this is doing that. This is really cool. It's got like it's not like, it doesn't have a lot of mid range in the bass sound, but it's sounding unique and cool.
Emotions are transient by nature. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Emotions are transient by nature. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Emotions are transient by nature. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Emotions are transient by nature. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Emotions are transient by nature.
All right, sounds really cool, man. It's pretty linear, but I think that for the style, that's not too much of an issue, and there's enough kind of things happening that it continues to stay interesting. And there's like I think I was saying this earlier with someone, you don't need to like always bring in a new element, but like just dropping an element out and then bringing it back can be enough, just to kind of make sure between these like 8 to 16 bar sections that there's kind of something different happening, right? So it just keeps the track feeling like it's constantly progressing, and you've done that quite well with like the open hat and stuff like that. Also, like, can you guys hear my chair? It's so fucking squeaky. I hope it's not too annoying. Yeah, so I think you've done that well with the open hat. I also like how the bass is. It's kind of like not too loud. It's almost on the verge, but it's you've kept it quite short, so it's gonna still maintain some dynamics with the kick, which is cool. The vocal sample you're using is cool, and I think it works really well for the style, but I think you could work it a little bit better, right?
Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Emotions are transient by nature.
So what I would do with that is like basically just take the vocal, loop it up, and throw some like kind of glitchy effects on it. What's that? I think it's called D-Blue Glitch, right? It's a free plugin, so you could try that. You could try what's it called? Beat Repeat. Just some things to like chop up the audio a bit more and like kind of get it a bit crazy. You kind of record this back onto another channel, and then you can put those in. So basically, like it goes
Mind on the present moment.
and then so it kind of like then you use it like a delay. So it plays the vocal as you've got it, and then subtly afterwards you have like these kind of glitches of it happening. So it's like, what does it say? Focus your mind on the present moment.
Mind on the present moment.
And then it's like present moment, like just something. So it's kind of like a bit more crazy, a bit more unique sounding. There's a track I'm thinking of that does it. Leonardo Ganelli. Beatboard, eh? So slow. It's on Deep Perfect. I don't remember what it's called. It's with Forrest. So is that in his? No. This is going somewhere, guys. Yeah. No, back to sunrise, sunshine. Maybe it's this.
Things are kind of dark, couldn't tell the time. Mate, sunrise you make.
Okay, that's not the track I'm thinking of. Fuck. This one, back to you.
And no one's gonna see you.
See how it's got like these kind of crazy glitchy sounds in the vocal? I think like having something like that would work really well in your track. Like it just makes it a bit more interesting, a bit more unique.
And no one's gonna see you through.
You see what, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Like just having something that's like a bit more unique and a bit more kind of like crazy would add like especially with this type of thing that's a bit more stripped back. I think that would just work so well and kind of make it really stand out. Arrangement, yeah, it's cool. It's working, man. I think it'd work on the floor. I don't know if there's necessarily a need to bring the bass in so early. Where does that bass line come in? At the start. I think you could probably get away with keeping this kind of stripped back bass groove up until the first break, because you're going to be able to, I mean, someone's going to be mixing this in, right? Maybe people don't mix as long as I mix anymore, but I'm always, trying to bring it in, trying to mix in for the first kind of minute or so. Maybe I'm just slow at getting it in time, but yeah, I think like none of this is even going to be heard, so you're kind of doing things in the track that no one's ever going to hear on the dance floor. So you could bring in the full bass here, and I think that would work from a functional perspective probably a bit better. Mix down sounds cool. Yeah, you've, like I said, the bass is on the verge of, it's not too loud, but I think the having the fact that the sub is quite short allows it a bit more kind of headroom to be a bit louder. Squelchy thing in the drums now. Now, is that the squelchy thing? That I guess that's what he's talking about. In my opinion, yeah, that's cool. It's like kind of, it works for the style, and it helps to kind of create some interplay, some call and response with the vocal as well. And it's a bit more of a unique sound, right? So it gives the beat some character. I think if you took that out, then it would just be a bit more bland sounding. So yeah, good stuff. I think leave that in there for sure. All right, let's go on. James Silk, Break Me. So I know James Silk. He's a pretty well established producer. I've got plenty of his tracks in my record box, and he's said here that he usually makes Jack in House. I can attest to that. He does, or more Jack in House than this. He's trying to make something a bit more groovy. It's got a cleared vocal sample, and he wants to know, is it working? Let's find out. I think we're going to have to We're probably not going to listen to the whole thing, James. 9 minutes in 2021 is extreme. But let's go. Really cool. Really like that. I think, no offense to any of the other producers, but I think you can hear that James has got a significant amount of experience, right? Like, there's not, the beat's not overcrowded, but it's still interesting. It's still kind of got enough in there to make it sound unique and kind of there's space for everything, but it still has character, which is really cool. The vocal is really, really nice. It reminds me of something. What's it called? Diamond Life? I think it's like Little Louis Vega or something. No, not Little Louis Vega. I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing about my remembering shit, but welcome to the Diamond Life. Sinister someone. Louis Vega and Jay Sinister. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it reminds me of that somehow. Just in case anyone gives a shit. Really cool. I would say the vocal, it almost lacks, it feels like you've kind of cut away a little bit of too much of the lows. Like it feels like it's a bit mid-rangey. It could have a little bit more in the lows, but I'm being picky here because it's really good, and I like the way that you've everything in the mix stands out. There's not like it's a really common thing for it's a really common thing for producers who are less experienced to maybe have like an element in there that they like, but it's not quite working. Maybe the sound selection's not quite right, so it's like tucked quite low down in volume, whereas you've got like all the stabs and stuff. They're quite there's not a crazy amount of things going on, but everything's prominent. Everything is kind of like loud and proud, if you want to say, which is really good, and it shows that you're confident in your sound selection and your sound design. The vocal, I would say, is maybe verging on too loud. It's like it's good. It stands out from the track, but I think like if you put this in a big club at like 120 decibels, it might start to be a bit piercing. With this, the amount that the vocal's being pushed, and then the volume, it'd literally be a matter of like 1 to 2 dB, but I would just experiment with like bringing that up and down in volume. In terms of like, so I think, is it working? Yes, it's cool. It's really cool. It is really long, which I think that it doesn't need to be that long, because it's like, tracks like I don't know if you know the producer Johnny D. He does stuff on 8-Bit and Cecile in the past, but he does really long tracks, like 10 minutes kind of thing, and but they're a bit more minimal. They're a bit more kind of just like a rolling groove, whereas this has got a lot more going on. I think you could literally cut it back to 6.5 minutes and not really lose anything from it, and it would probably make it just a bit more signable for labels. Make an extended mix and a club mix or something, But I don't think that you would necessarily lose anything if you shortened it. Yeah, if that makes sense. Let's just cut away a bit of this. You could think about pushing the subs up, like 1 or 2 dB. I think there might be space for it. It's got it works really well, and it's like everything is like got space in the mix. But I would just experiment with that, just like pushing it up 1 or 2 dB, see if like it gives it a bit more power. Yeah, but really cool, bro. I'd love to see where it goes. Okay. Oh, got time for a couple more. So let's see where homie is. Hope that's helpful, James. And yeah, I see in the comments. Yeah, you're right, man. It's can be tough getting feedback, and especially like constructive feedback, right? Like it's just, I know some people don't want negative feedback. I'm really trying to be constructive here, not like I don't really give my opinion on if I like the tracks, or unless I really like the tracks. If you know what I mean. It's because if I like the track or not is fucking irrelevant. Like it doesn't mean it's like doesn't mean it's good or not. I'm trying to be objective about what can be done better or that kind of thing. But yeah, it's the worst is like when you send someone a track to listen to and you want some feedback, right? You want something that you can improve it, and they like send you back a 2-word response saying cool tune, bro, or something like that. And it's like, maybe some people want that, they just want this validation, but yeah, I think it's tough to get someone to give you feedback that actually says like, hey, you could do this and try and potentially make it better. Holy shit, 136 BPM. EKS, which, okay, this dude asked in the chat if he can send a track, and I think we've got time for 1 or 2 more. Let's see if he gave me any info. No, he did not. All right, so let's have a listen. Jesus Christ, a bit out of my wheelhouse, to be honest. I mean, I don't think I've ever played a I don't know, what kind of techno is this? Someone let me know in the chat. It's cool. It's not what I play, but as I just said, I'll try and give constructive feedback as much as possible. I think it, like, sound-wise, I think it sounds right for what you're going for, but there's like a bit of stuff on the mix that could make it sound a bit more polished. And I don't know if polished is like the right word for this kind of style, but that would make it sound a bit more pro. The first thing that stood out was like when this hi-hat comes in. So up at the start here, it sounds solid, right? I think a hi-hat comes in here. So that hi-hat to me sounds a bit too dull. It's a bit too mid-rangey. So, or like, there's still a bit too much mids on it, and it could be a bit brighter. What I would do to make that, because everything here, up into here is very mid-range, right? So when that comes in, I would want it to be like a bit more of a brighter sound, still quite sharp, but I would also put some kind of plate reverb or some room reverb on it. And that's going to be like a theme of the feedback that I'm going to give you about the track. Yeah, just to kind of like give it a bit more intensity. Like if it was kind of just, yeah, so it sits up a bit higher in the frequency spectrum and kind of has a bit more sheen to it. I think it would really kind of work to kind of elevate the energy to another level, and also provides contrast between what's already there. It just sounds a bit too dull to my ear. See, like these like noise open hats are cool. Noise 16th hats are cool, and they sit in the frequency spectrum in the right place, if you know what I mean. This kind of shaker or something that you've put in here, the groove doesn't work exactly like with the rumble for me, which creates some tension, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that kind of so like if it kind of, the groove feels a bit tense and a bit awkward, and then you take it out, then that might, so there, if it kind of goes back to something that's a bit more harmonious groove wise, I think that would work. Where's the stab coming? It's playing this. So this synth is very repetitive, which is fine, but it's also very dry, as are quite a few of the elements in the track. So what I would focus on, I think the biggest win you could have here is using reverb on some of the main elements to kind of give it a bit more space. And then you can also work that synth a bit more. It doesn't have to be like opening up like crazy, but just adding some movement with the cutoff or something is just going to make it sound less static. because it's a prominent element in the track. It's giving quite a lot of it's got quite a lot of presence in the track. So yeah, just making it a bit more unique and kind of have a bit more movement and a bit more. You can you can use that to create tension and release. Now with these vocals, you've got a lot of reverb on them, but I would probably cut away some of the low mids from that reverb. It sounds like that wash is, it's kind of muddying up the track and just kind of adds this inner, I think having a like a bit more of a brighter, airy, spacious reverb on that is going to sound a bit more cool, and all that's going to take is just to cut out some of the lows and mids from the reverb that you're using. So EKSX says that's my main issue. I've got fear to play too much with the reverb. This is, I don't think it's not even about playing with it. It's it's more of a mixing thing. Like, set up a return channel with a relatively short plate on it or something, and just send some of your main elements to that, so they, especially your drums, so they kind of feel like they're in a space rather than dry. And I think you want to do it subtly, but it will help the track to kind of come alive a bit. I hope that's helpful, bro. As I said, like, not my speciality in terms of genre, but cool, good stuff. I think it's got potential, and all I can do really is give you feedback on the mix and that kind of thing. But I think it works for what you're trying to do. It's just basically like upping the level of the production a bit, and kind of I think with any, regardless of whatever genre you're making, it's kind of the best mindset I think to have is having less elements and working them more, like, so that each element is moving and kind of morphing throughout the track. Sorry to scare you guys. It's Halloween's just passed, so all right. So we've got one here from my bro Sebastian Wickham. All right, just a short one, and it's called Wickham Collab Bro. So I don't know, is that an invitation to collab on this? Just for some context, I know Sebastian, I like his music, and actually I've got a podcast going up on Deep House Moscow soon, which has got a track from you in it, mate. So let's have a listen to this. So obviously it's a minute 40. It's cool. I like the vibe. But I guess my feedback would be like, it's the same thing. So when I get asked to do a remix, as if I get asked to do a collaboration, it doesn't need to be a full track, but I need to listen to it and go like, that I can see what I can do with that element. So I'll get, because I like release on labels like Bondage Music, and they release a lot of kind of minimal dubbier kind of house. I'll get remix offers all the time for these dubby minimal tracks, and a lot of the time I listen to them and I'm like, the track is cool, I would play it, but it's missing a hook or something that I can take and reinterpret, and then it's that track. And in this, it's like it's kind of got the same thing. Like, there's a couple of synths there that are cool, but I don't think it's quite yet a hook. And I'm probably being a bit picky on this because I know how good some of your other tracks are. So I think like I'm open to the idea of collaborating on something for sure, but I think you need to nail down what's the idea, like what's the track about. And this is something that I've been doing in my own, when I'm writing my own tracks recently, is like really focusing on so I used to do what most people do, is kind of like get a drum groove and a bass line going, and then try and add some stuff on top of that to make the track cool, find a vocal for it, find some chords and that kind of thing. And I've found like I've started leaving the drums almost till the end, even after the arrangement in a lot of times. Like, I feel like if you kind of focus on like what's the point of the track, what's the main what are the hooks and what's it about, then you can get all of those things working much more harmoniously together. And like for me, in the music that I play and the music that I write, the drums are really important. But if I start with the drums, I put too much into the drums and they become kind of too dominant in the track, when I actually really want a hooky track, something that people kind of can remember. To give you guys some context, let's play a couple of his tracks on Beatport. So I think this is the track that is in my new mix. This one. No, it was this one. So there you go. The reason I wanted to play that for you guys is like, so you can see the potential that Sebastian has and like what he can do. So I'm basically judging this on tracks that I know he can produce, right? Like, I know it's just obviously a sketch, but I think like say on that, it's in terms of like the melodic elements, it's not too dissimilar from that track Rival, where you've got like a couple of synth elements that are kind of doing a call and response thing with each other, but in the Rival one, the kind of the hook, the melody is a lot stronger, and the sounds are a lot more working together a lot more harmoniously. So I mean, there's like that's what the track is about, but I could take that and make a remix of it, and people are going to recognize where it came from, and it's still going to be my interpretation of that, you know, like that is the equivalent of having a vocal in a track, and it's memorable. That's not saying that every track with a vocal is cool and well done, but it's like you've nailed that here. And I think in this demo, it's not quite nailed. Like the hook's not strong enough. Like in the Rival track, the two sounds are, one's kind of more bright and one's more like a mid bass kind of thing, whereas here they're both this kind of like mid bassy sound, and in the other track one part is like a synth sound, and the other part is like a organ or something like that. It's something a bit more organic sounding. So there's a bit more juxtaposition in it. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, we know each other, so we can chat on Instagram or whatever and come up with an idea. So yeah, let's do it. But that would be my feedback for you on this idea, is that it needs a bit more development. But I think like, yeah, I mean, it's a short demo loop. My approach to kind of songwriting is to like take some time and make like 5 or 10 of these kind of sketches, and like do them as quickly as possible. I work pretty quickly, so I'll do something like this in a couple of hours, and I try not to get like hung up on whether it's good or whether it's working or anything like that. I just kind of like really try and get in the zone and go with it, and then put it to one side, do another one, and then I've kind of got this pack of beats that I can listen to objectively and go, this idea is cool. I'm gonna work on that, and I can see how that would extend out into a full track. Which with this, I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't sound bad, and I'm being probably more, because of the context, I'm being a bit more critical than I was on the other on the other tracks. But like, so back to what I was saying, like you take those like sketches, and then you know that you've only invested a couple of hours into each one, so it's not like make or break. You don't have to make each one of them into a full track, right? But then you can take it and you go like, okay, this, I'm feeling it. I can see how this is going to extend out into a full song, and then that kind of like becomes really easy. You know, you've already got this vision of like how it's going to work, so you avoid that kind of like getting stuck phase. That's my approach to like kind of songwriting these days, is really keep it simple in terms of the drums and that kind of thing, make some strong elements, and make like a bunch of kind of demos for myself. Then I'll sit down and finish 2 or 3 of them, and then go back to the kind of idea creation phase. So anyway, maybe food for thought for anyone out there who's having trouble with the kind of songwriting aspect, like coming up with ideas and sketches and that kind of thing. So anyway, guys, I'm going to have to call it there. I'm like I said, been a bit sick, and this is kind of taking its toll on my throat and stuff. I'm on the mend, but yeah, I hope that everyone kind of enjoyed that and got something from it, and we'll definitely do it again soon. It's hard to know which is the best way to get the I should have probably done it a bit earlier and asked for track submissions like a week ago, but you know, I'm always leaving everything to the last minute, so we'll try and be a bit more organised next time. Anyway, peace guys, have a good weekend, and we'll catch you soon.